Hey, hello, everybody on YouTube and throughout the kingdom of Connecticut and throughout the 50 different assorted kingdoms known as the states in the United States on this unholy of unholy 344 days of the 15-day lockdown. Of course, that was 15 days to flatten my curve. Well, let's just assume that the catastrophizers were right. Let's just assume we needed to do all of this stuff. Well, I know we didn't. If you look at the data, you know we didn't. Um, let's just get right into it. And this is for you, the screamers, who thought that this is what we should do, like that we should perpetually live in fear, we should perpetually have all these restrictions. It's time you took a holistic view of what you have done to me and everybody else and everybody you care about. This is your intervention. This is the moment. This is the video. This is where we go through what you did to everybody, grandma included. All those cancer screenings that never happened. Ooh, you scared everybody out of the hospitals. You went along with it. You includes 49 governors. You includes every screaming COVID cult member. You wanted cancers to not get screened. You did that. You and your fear and your catastrophizing made it damn certain that a whole lot of people have died and will die of preventable cancers. You did that. You killed them. That's on you. So don't tell me if it just saves one life, if that's what we got to do, if it just saves one life, it's worth it. Well, no, it's not. You see, the thing is, if it saves just one life and it kills thousands, that's worse than a zero-sum game. That's just sadistic. That's just arrogant and sick to think you have that sort of control. So what about the 40 million people you are throwing on the streets? 40 million. Does homelessness matter? Is that a public health issue? Maybe not. Not to you. So on the streets with them because you're afraid. Because screw them. They don't need jobs. They don't need money. They don't need to put a roof over their head. That's sick. And it's on you, screamers. You did it. What else did you do? 30 million out of work. That's bad. That's real bad. I mean, of course, it's just the money, right? Oh, wait, no, it's not. As you see, not having a job, that does lead to health effects, and they're bad, and they're horrible. But you want to scream, you want to go, I'm afraid of COVID, we got to lock everything down. Fuck you. You threw 30 million people out of a job. In addition to the 40 million people you are now in the process of throwing on the streets. Because, COVID. And let's just not forget the deaths of despair. Everybody's got that story by now. Everybody's got multiple stories. I have stories. When good people slit their wrist, throw themselves off bridges, put the car in the garage, leave it running so they suffocate and die because they don't want to live in a dystopian hellscape that you screamers created. I'm going to think if you've pushed for 344 days of this nonsense, well, that's horrible. You did it. You may as well have thrown them off the bridge. You may as well have turned that car on. You may as well have locked them in the garage. You may as well have done it yourself. Now, never mind the deaths of despair. What about grandma? I always love it how everyone's like, oh, look, there's going to be an economic boom. It's going to be better. All that pent-up demand. Well, screw you and your sophist bullshit, because the thing about, I don't know, let's just take March 20th, 2020 for an example. You see, March 20th, 2020 came and it went. Grandma was not able to buy that hamburger on March 20th, 2020. She could not put March 20th, 2020, nor just like July 20th, 2020. You couldn't have put any of those days in your pocket and saved them for later. You see, the thing is, because of you screamers, Grandma is dead. She died alone because you're a monster and you're afraid of stuff, and therefore you had to lord over everyone's existence or ask 49 dictator governors to do it. So much for pent-up demand. Grandma doesn't get to walk her dog in the park. She's dead. You killed her, she died alone. The vast majority of this, never mind the people, the nursing homes, that was bad enough, that was dumb enough, that was avoidable enough, that was stupid enough. But then you got the people dying of other things, living a shitty quality of life because you want to be afraid, because you want to ruin the last day of life they have, or the last year or month. You see, we can't say, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have locked you in your home, we shouldn't have, made everyone afraid to hug you or see you or whatever. No. We just said, screw it. We want to be in control of everything. In the name of grandma, to the point where it ruins grandma's life. You see, we've decided that because we're afraid, because we want catastrophizers to run everything, that we have to just ruin humanity and human existence and the whole point of living. If you ask me, if you gave me a choice, if I wanted to live forever indefinitely in your COVID cult, or I could just die, pull the trigger. You're going to have to make me at that point, because this is horrible. What you did was wrong. It was inhuman. People are going to look back but wait, there's more. There's so much more you did. Because you see, you didn't just hurt grandma. You stole an entire year from normal childhood experience. You took away a whole year of education. Now, don't give me this we do this through Zoom and and the teachers don't think it's safe. Well, first of all, if you're a teacher, you do it for the kids. You love the kids. You don't want to be a teacher? Don't be a teacher. Find something else to do. Don't sit home and be like, I'm afraid, I'm uncertain. You got into this for the kids, all right? Now, were you altruistic from the beginning, or were you never altruistic at all? Make a call, because what we did to children is absolutely goddamn horrible. You are going to see a 60-minute show 5-6 years down the road. This is the new Iraq war, by the way. Where we thought it was a great idea. I was against it. Every sane person that wasn't terribly addled with fear was against it. They said, it's only going to cost $80 billion, and we'll be in and out, and it's just going to be, several trillion into that. Well, this is way bigger than Iraq. Way, way, way bigger. The thing is, when we get afraid, we do absolutely horrific, monstrous stuff. We smash people's lives with a hammer. That's what you did to children. Got a whole year of them. Yeah. So if you're a screamer and you are for all of this nonsense, your kid's going to grow up and your kid's going to look at you and say, fuck you. You're a horrible parent. And you deserve it. I mean, we're going to have that 60 Minutes news special 5-6 years down the road from now. And it's going to be like, man, I was abused. I didn't get to see my friends. I mean, nobody knew I was in trouble or had a need because I wasn't in school or around my friends or around my network. That's fucking horrible. I mean, what is wrong with you if you want this? I mean, if you want that, that alone, that's horrible. I mean, that alone, it offsets all the public health good, the screaming and catastrophizing and, the masks have done. Never mind, that's pretty weird for a kid. It's weird for adults, and if you think it's weird for adults, man, it is way weirder for a kid. That's a significant portion of their life, without normal human expression and staying away from people and being isolated, and not having that need for a hug or just basic humanity. You screwed up the kids. I hope Governor Lamont is watching this. That's what he did. I hope he sees this, and I hope he and all of the other COVIDiot screamers continue, because there's more. You see, you don't just measure public health in lives. There's this thing called life years, because we don't obviously live forever, and there are certain things that, when you do stuff to people, you tend to take away their life years. Like, for example, you threw 40 million people on the street. What do you think that's going to do to the number of life years? I mean, the other stuff we're going to talk about in this video, like, what do you think that's going to do to their life years? What do you think it's done to their health? What do you think it's done to exercise? I mean, you basically had people sit at home, be afraid, get sedentary, stop exercising. I mean, man, if you're worried about the fucking hospitals now, you are in for a rude awakening. You want and you're not even gonna have as many hospitals, but we'll get to that too. You ruined careers, you ruined futures, you've destroyed businesses permanently. Why the hell would anybody want to build a business when the government can just shut them down? That would be there's a word I'm looking for. Oh, stupid. That's the word. So you made it dumb for people to invest long term. As long as we put up with this, you wrecked families, you wrecked marriages, you wrecked relationships. You pit brother against brother because you wanted everyone to scream and be hysterical. You turned a grocery shopping trip into a prison experiment. Who in their right mind would want to accept that? I mean, who in their right mind would also want to create a world or an environment where if you actually do science and you want to test hypotheses and you want to come up with solutions that are better and quicker and off the shelf and cheaper than Miracle Jab, what did you catastrophizers do? You shouted them down. You made it. So I just read an article yesterday. You made it, and this happens everywhere, where people, especially in long-term care facilities, they have to go to court to get these treatments that they have a right to access. Because it's not Miracle Jab, we got to shout it down. I mean, we could have saved so many of those 500,000 people, but the screamers, nope, unless it's Miracle Jab, I don't want to hear it. Wow. I mean, if it works, why are you getting in the way of it? Or if it might work, why are you getting in the way? Well, I know why. You may not know why, but I know. If you admit there's any possibility of any treatment being effective other than Miracle Jab, well, guess what? The emergency use authorization goes right out the window. You may not know that, but now you do. So you can't unhear that. That's the truth. So if you want to catastrophize more, you're killing people. And yes, you're killing people who didn't need to die of COVID because you wanted to scream. I know a lot of people are going to say, it's not a big deal. It's just Medicare. Well, you ruined it. We could have saved it. We had ways we could have saved it that didn't involve taxing, that could have just involved straightening out the healthcare system, which we're going to have to do anyway. But you cratered the revenue source for Medicare and Medicaid, and Congress has started strip mining it to pay for stimulus and emergency money. So I don't know how you all feel about Medicaid, but I know many of you are going to say it was nice while it fucking lasted. But you wanted to scream. You want everybody to stay home. Nobody has to do anything. Everyone's going to be 5 by executive order. You killed Medicare and Medicaid. You ruined an important critical structure of your safety net. Hey, I'm a libertarian. I knew there were better ways of doing things, but you hit the button. You nuked Medicare and Medicaid because you wanted to scream. You wanted all these restrictions. You clearly didn't want Medicaid. You didn't want Medicare. Wasn't a big deal to you. So that's gonna, and it already has, with all your screaming and catastrophizing, has started ruining hospital funding. I shouldn't say start. I mean, we were we were just hammering hospital census because the thing is, you all wanted to scream, you screamers, about hospital capacity. A little news for you. Hospital ICUs usually run at pretty high capacity, usually. That's how they keep the ICU's lights on. You see, you have all these other procedures. They're called elective, but they're really kind of not. A lot of them have to do with, cancer screenings and routine procedures that are done so you don't have to do the really, really big procedures. You know, when people have like strokes and heart attacks and yeah. So what you did is you deprived these hospitals of an essential revenue source because you wanted to scream and catastrophize. So now when you get in a car wreck, you have to go further in the ambulance ride to the hospital. That is the price you screamers will pay and are now actually paying in some select areas. So, we went through the whole screwing up the kids. We went through the whole grandma dying alone. We went through the whole like lost life years. I mean, actually, life expectancy dropped a whole year last year thanks to you screamers. We went through the whole deaths of despair. We went through the whole 40 million people you screamers put on the fucking streets because you wanted to be afraid and you wanted everyone to have the mandate of your addled, insane terror. We mentioned the 30 million people that you screamers decided didn't have a right to earn a living so they could eat. I don't know. To you, food was apparently entirely unrelated to public health. But you 49 governors and you COVIDiot Karens, you just said the hell with all that. So not only did you do that damage, just to summarize, you also broke the currency. You wanted everyone to have a free check. You see, when you jack the money supply up by, 50% over the course of a year, that is going to have consequences. You've seen it happen in the stock market. Obviously, everyone's like, oh, look, I'm going to pretend I'm rich now. Well, see, the thing is, when you make more money, it's worth less. Okay? Let's just go for a simple explanation, shall we, to illustrate it for you idiots who demanded we print up all this money. Let's just pretend I have one marker, okay? This is all the goods and services in the economy. Got it? One marker. I have $1, one marker, right? Okay, this is how it works. So let's just say you go, I want to print up another dollar, chasing the same basket of goods and services, okay? We got it? This is the same. You didn't change any of this. You didn't make the plastic. You didn't make the ink that goes in the marker. You didn't do anything. You just made this worth less. You're an idiot. I mean, even former Federal Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke said something really smart, and I wasn't a fan of the guy, but he admitted, the Federal Reserve does not, mill flour. It doesn't turn the flour into bread. It doesn't make oil come out of the ground. It does none of that. So you who think you can just print all of that up and Jeff Bezos can attend to all of your needs, well, you just made the money worth less, and I know a lot of you are screaming about a $15 an hour minimum wage, but because of what you did, you will now be screaming in a decade about a $50 minimum wage. Are you happy yet? Or do you just want to still be afraid? I mean, never mind the inherent instability. Nobody knows what the hell's going to happen because you want one guy, your governor, to just decide how everything's going to be on the fly, on a whim, indefinitely. Now let's just add into this horrible freak show of a dumpster fire of a cake that you baked the psychological damage. Wow. So just to recap, cancer screenings missed the 40 million people on the streets, the 30 million out of work, the deaths of despair, the elderly dying alone, the stolen year of education, all the child abuse that happened, all the drug addiction that got worse, the 10 plus years of ruined expectancy, the entire loss of businesses, the destruction of families. You want people, friends, and families, and neighbors fighting with each other and screaming. You made the grocery stores an ergonomic hellscape and a prison experiment. Bravo, good job. And then you wanted to suppress science and research, wreck Medicare, wreck Medicaid, wreck hospitals' ability to fund themselves, ruin your currency in the fucking process, and then add all of the attendant psychological damage and instability that this would lead to. Karen, I only got one thing to say. Fuck you. Fuck you hard. If you've had it, go to makemeday.com. If you still want to scream and you want all these restrictions and you want all these mandates, you're a horrible human being. You confronted with the facts of the damage you did that COVID could never do and ever would have done. And we knew this back in February. We did know this because we had the cruise ships. We knew this ain't COVID, guys. This is Karen and 49 governors. Oh, and a president outgoing that enabled it, and the incoming that's also enabling it, that at least told the truth to the extent that nothing we do will change the trajectory of this pandemic. Okay? If you like these restrictions and you like screwing up kids and abusing the elderly, you like shouting at people for not wearing a mask, you are sick. Get help. Stay the hell away from me. Stay the hell away from any glued, well put together human being. And just get help. But as far as inflicting damage, we're done. It's not up for discussion anymore. That's why you got to make us. So please, if you're for these restrictions, know that you have moral culpability now, and for these things and way more. It would probably take. We could go off into what this has done to the shipping industry. People on container ships doing crude surgeries with Black & Decker power tools, or crews that have been, I don't know, out to sea for a year because everyone's afraid of COVID. So half the world will freeze, half the world will starve because everyone wants to be afraid. Well, you see, this is untenable. And there are just some people who are crazy and they need to not be in office anymore because they're hurting people, like literally, knowingly. They do not care. None of this, however well-intentioned it was justified. And it's time to stop. You can make the argument, we didn't know any better. 15 days in, great. I was on board. If you told me to wear a mask then, I would have done it. Told me not to. Hey, you got this vaccine. You say it's 95% effective. Well, but you still want me to do all this nonsense. You still want everybody to live like this. Well, and obviously you don't believe in the vaccine. You don't. You can't have it both ways. So we're going to shut it down. But I just wanted to make a point of having something to direct a screamer to if they ever wanted to know what kind of damage did they do. Because they said, if it just saves one life. Well, the only thing you need to say to these people is, fuck you. You're a horrible human being. If you would knowingly do this to people. And now, if you were for the restrictions, and you still are, and you've listened to this video, well, we're going to have some differences. And you're going to have to enforce those differences. I'm a live and let live guy, and I expect to be left alone. And so do so many people, and that's the way it's going to be. So you don't have the numbers, and it's come down to make me, because all of this is horrible. And that's why I'm not taking the vaccine. I mean, I'm open-minded. I think it could work. But you know what? If you're going to do this just to not leave me alone, count me in. I'm not anti-vax. I believe in vaccines. I'm conscientiously objecting here. The hellscape is over. So if you believe in it, stand by it. Drop it. Don't complain. Don't scream. Shut the fuck up. Stay home. But if you can't do that, well, it's going to get more and more difficult to enforce your adult terror, because we're not going along with it. We're human. We have a right to normalcy. That's the way it's going to be. And I do know a lot of people out there that kind of go, well, you could always go to the court system. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody is just afraid and addled, and it's going to stop. And I know what a lot of the courts are doing. They're just sitting there. They're just saying, like, they're not officially trying to, actually do their job. They just want to avoid it. They just want to punt. And I get it. You're a judge. You make a decision. You issue a ruling that gets in the way of all the cheddar. I understand. Well, but the thing is, nobody asked you to be a judge. Nobody made you. So if you're a judge out there, and you're looking at one of these cases on ending the lockdowns. 344 days is a long time. It's a long time to suspend habeas corpus and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm just going to say if the courts can't even do their job, they're morally culpable too. Because hey, you got these civil rights violations going on every second of it. We can't get it back. So here's where we are. Everyone wants to have their head in their sand and do this indefinitely. There's moral culpability for that, and I went through the list, and hey, it's time. You gotta look at what you did. I didn't do this. I didn't want it. I opposed it the whole time. Every day I do something to try to end it. Every single day. A lot of people, they wake up angry, and they should. They should wake up absolutely livid. That's how screwed up this is. And it's not COVID that did it. It's people that originally had good intentions. And now that they know this, and they've taken the second or the half hour in this case to review it, if they still do it, they no longer have good intentions. That sucks, but that's the truth. So if you want to scream, you want the restrictions, own the moral culpability. That's just it. It's the truth. So you still want it? You own it now. Stay well. I hope everyone can get together and bring back some normalcy here, because we're just gonna have to go back without, whether the governors want us to do it or not, whether the courts will enforce the law or not. Do it peacefully, or if we got screamers that want to scream, well, I hope they find, I hope they have their come to Jesus moment or whatever. I just hope they stop and they realize what they've done, because it's terrible. So take care. I hope everybody's well. Nobody wants anybody to get COVID, and the people that scream that want to be like, I hope you get COVID, or I hope you walk through a COVID ward without a mask. Well, fuck off. That's not nice. It's not an argument. It's not legitimate, and it certainly doesn't justify stealing a year from children. That's horrible. So I hope everybody's well. I think we'll come through it fine, but the question is what we got to go through in between then and there. So please stay well. If you're sick, stay home, obviously. That never changed. And I will talk to you guys soon.